Welcome to Rethinking K-12 Education Grant on Demand. This episode is using Google Forms for teachers. What and why? What is this? Google Forms allows you to create surveys, quizzes, and other informational gathering tools. Why does it matter? Teachers can get information from students in an organized way and can create auto-graded multiple-choice quizzes to assess students and provide immediate feedback. Learning objectives. By the end of this session, you will learn how to create a Google form, create an auto-graded quiz on Google Forms, assign a Google Form quiz through Google Classroom, and analyze and review student responses in a Google Sheet.
How to create a Google form. Google Forms can be used for many different functions, and I found that their ease of use for students allows teachers to get a high rate of return. I've used Google Forms to gauge interest in participation in a buddy program, for students to share favorite memories for the year for an end-of-year assembly, or to select from a list of electives. I've also used them as exit tickets so that students can submit work with either short answer responses that you grade by hand, or with multiple choice quizzes that Google Forms will automatically grade. I've also used Google Forms in the science classroom to have students report data which the whole class can look at and analyze patterns within. The first step in creating a Google form is to go to your drive and click New, click More, and click Google Forms. When you've created a new form, you will see this page. Before you start, you may customize the theme by clicking this button, which allows you to insert images, change the color, change the background color, or change the font. Here, you can click to change settings. Some of the settings that I make sure I've selected are to collect email addresses. This makes sure that when someone submits a Google form, you will know exactly who submitted it. For presentation, there's not that many that are too important. You can shuffle the question order if you want to give students a randomized quiz in terms of the order, show the progress bar if it's a very long one to show them how much more, and show a link to submit another response at the end. You can also set a confirmation message when they are done, something like your response has been recorded. If you are making this a quiz, you have to click Quizzes and click Make this a quiz. You have an option if students are taking this quiz on a Chromebook to lock their Chromebook mode. This means that they cannot open other tabs or other applications while taking the quiz. It is only available to schools using managed Chromebooks. You have the option here to either release the grade immediately after each submission or later after manual review. This can be relevant if you want students to resubmit their work, which means you might want them to see the answers only later after they've checked it over, or if you want to give them immediate feedback, which students often appreciate, you can have them immediately see their grade after each submission. You have three more options here. Respondents can see what they've missed, the correct answers, and point values. This is going to depend on whether you want them to have immediate feedback or if you want them to have a chance to submit. Both can be important depending on what type of quiz or assignment you want to give. Here, you can create a title for the quiz. I will call it Sample Quiz. Here, you can give a description of the form, and then below, you can start putting questions. I always start with asking the respondent for first and last name. What is your first name? Google automatically knows that this is not a multiple choice, is a short answer question. But you can see the options that are given. Short answer and paragraph are the same in terms of just giving the students a space to write, but a paragraph makes it look like you want more from the student in their writing. You have multiple choice quizzes, you have checkbox, you have a drop down, you can add files, which means they would have to submit something, and we'll get into these other options later on. So what is your first name is a short answer. Then I can click either duplicate to copy and paste this question, or I can click here to add a new question. So click here and then say, what is your last name? And again, I want this to be short answer. You also have this tab here, required or not. This means if you check it, students cannot submit the form until all required questions have been filled out. Now I'm going to show you how you can add multiple choice questions that Google Forms will automatically grade. Click Add Question, make sure it's a multiple choice, or a drop-down question. Those two work the same way. My question will be, what is 1 plus 1? Option 1, 0. Then I can hit enter and it will automatically create a new response. 0, 1, 2, and 3. Google Forms already predicted that I want 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 as my choices. You must click answer key as well to make this a quiz, or to make it graded like a quiz. So when clicking answer key, select the right answer and select the number of points that you want this question to be worth. You also have the option of adding answer feedback. You can give feedback for students that give an incorrect answer, or feedback for students that give a correct answer. Something like, nice job, or try again. When you're finished with the quiz question and the answer key, click Done. Now we can add more questions. I can hit duplicate if I want to just copy and paste this question, or I can hit Add Question here. Another option I have is to add section. So let's say I want to call this section the short answer section. That is another option that you have. If you are doing a short answer section, or short answer questions, students will not have their responses automatically graded by Google Forms. Only multiple choice, drop-down, or checkbox questions can be automatically graded. So this question might say, how do you feel you did on this quiz? And I want to make sure it is now a short answer. It's important that if you want students to make sure that they respond to it, that you click Required. I'm going to show you now up here in my multiple choice section other types of questions you can add. So add question, and if I want to make it a checkbox question, I could say something like, select all of the statements that are true below. Option 1, the year is 2020. Option 2, the year is 2019. Option 3, the sky is blue. Then when I click Answer key, I will make sure that only the true statements are selected, and again, select the number of points I want for this question. An additional thing you have in your answer feedback is you have the option to submit a link or a video that would automatically play if they got it right or if they got it wrong. Another useful trick for adding questions is adding questions that have an image uploaded with them. This is especially useful if you are taking a pre-made Regents question and taking a screenshot of that and adding it as your question. To do that, click New Question, click the image button located here, and find the screenshot of the question that you've already screenshotted. Now, we see that the Math Regents question is already here, and then I simply have to write the choices below. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Again, you would go into the answer key and select the right answer and the number of points in order to make this a graded quiz. For any question that you are going to be graded, you are going to want to make it required so that students cannot skip over them. This also shows a red star next to the question if it is required, which gives students and you the feedback that they have to answer that for credit. Another question type you can ask is to ask for a file upload. So in that case, select File Upload. It will give you this message, let respondents upload files to Drive, and click Continue. The question might say something like, submit a screenshot of the work you did. I might use something like this if students were playing an online game and I wanted them to submit a screenshot of their score or their progress. I could use this. And again, make it required. Answer key is not going to be relevant for something like this. And if I decide that I don't want any question here, I can always click Delete. Another option you have with creating Google Forms Visas quizzes is to create a video. To add a video, click the Add Video button, and I typed in Mythbusters here to find a video from YouTube. If I wanted to insert this video, I would click there and maybe title this, Watch this video before answering the next set of questions. I'd have to add questions under it, which would go along with the video. You can change the order of questions, videos, images in here by clicking this button and dragging them around where you want them to go. Some more options you have in Google Forms, in addition to adding a question, you can import questions. Importing questions will look at your other Google Forms in your Drive and will just copy and paste the questions from there into this current one. You can add an image. If you click the image button, you have the option to upload an image, to take a picture with a webcam, to use the URL, to use your photos, to use Google Drive, or to directly search for Google Images. And I've showed you the video, and I showed you the sections already. When you think your form is ready, you can click this button, Preview. This will show you how students will be viewing this form once it is sent out. And we're going to see if this is the way I wanted it. The title is there, it has my email, it has the first name, last name, my 1+1 question, the checkbox question, the multiple choice question that I copied from the Regents. Here I can see a question that is an error. I don't want this. So to go back and fix this, I'll close out this preview and click on this question and then click Delete. Now let's go back to the preview. Much better. Then I can click Next. This will go to the next set of questions, but you see it stops me because I did not answer the first set of questions. So now we'll go through it very quickly. How do you feel you did on this quiz? That was my section 2. Good. Sending me a copy of my responses is an option you can click that will send you the copy of your responses after you've taken it. I can view my score, and you will see the feedback that I added is already there. So what is 1+1? 2, feedback, nice job. Select all the statements that are true. I got them right, 1 point. And this question did not have an answer key, so there was no grading. The short answer section below says 0 of 0 points. If I set a point value for that section, the teacher would need to go in to the form and grade it by hand in order to give students their final grade. On your end, once students or whoever has submitted quiz or form responses, If you go back to your quiz and click the Responses tab here, you will start to see a summary of the student responses. It will tell you who has taken it. It will give you the results by question. And as more students start taking it, you will start to see more and more patterns emerging as there's more data. I'm going to show you what this might look like for an assignment that I did last year that had many student responses. So this was called the Cat Genetics Data Report, where students had to analyze cat data in different cities in the United States. And I wanted to combine all this data into a scatterplot chart so that students could look at a whole class set. We have the summary of who has taken this quiz and who has submitted it. This could be useful if you just want to give them a completion grade, just a participation grade if they've submitted it. You can look at the questions and the responses by question, or you can look at individual students and see what they have said. You also have the option to view this information in a spreadsheet. In the Responses tab, click View Responses in Sheets. It may prompt you to make a new sheet, or it will just take you directly here if you've already done it. This is a very good way to see all the data at one time. You can see the email address that was automatically recorded. You can see the city they chose. You can see their latitude of that city and the frequency of long hair versus short hair cats in that city. Setting it up like this allows you to analyze patterns, trends, and importantly for a science or math class, allows you to copy all of this data into a graph to see if there are patterns, as seen here. So, at this point, you may feel that you are ready to assign your quiz in Google Classroom. To do this, log in to Google Classroom. Select the class that you want to assign it for. Click Classwork. Click Create. Click Quiz Assignment. And you are going to add the quiz from Google Drive. It will show you all the quizzes that are in your Google Forms here. I don't want the blank quiz, so I'll delete it there. For this quiz, it was set with 2 one-point questions that were graded. So I want to make sure that the total point value of the quiz is 2. Of course, you can set the due date and things like that. Title, sample quiz, and then when you click Assign, students will now automatically have their grades transferred to Google Classroom from taking the quiz. If you do not want students to access this form through their Google Classroom and instead you want that to email, go back to your form and you can click Send. You can send it via email here by typing in the email of whoever you want, or what I think is good is just clicking this button to get a link and click Shorten URL. Now you can copy and paste this link into any email you want or just post it as an announcement in Google Classroom. I use this a lot during remote learning to say something like, hey guys, last chance to submit your baby pictures, use this form in the announcement. Since this is Google Forms and a Google Drive product, you have the option of adding collaborators. This is not the way to send out the form, but instead, if you add people here, then they can become collaborators and they can edit the questions as they want.
Now that we've reached the end of the episode, you should have learned how to create a Google form, how to create an auto-graded quiz on Google Forms, how to assign a Google Form quiz through Google Classroom, and how to analyze and review student responses in a Google Sheet. For more information about additional TRLE video on-demand sessions and other available TRLE programs, go to pd.swboces.org/TRLE_grant or contact Mary Beth Wilson. We value your feedback about your experience with this digital resource. Please take a moment to share feedback and your experiences using the following links.